See, the secret to influence lies in our deep knowledge and understanding of just one simple word. And that is the word motivation. One of the most overused words in the world of business is said word, the word motivation. And the reason I say it's overused is because too few people understand what the word really means. When you study its etymology, you'll start to realize that the word is created from the forcing together of two words. With the first word being the Latin word motivus, modern day translation is the word motive, and the second part of the word coming from the word that we know as action. These are the two words that are forced together to find the word motivation. Let's push this one stage further. Help me in the chat. If somebody had a motive, it would mean they had a what? What is another word for a motive? If they had a motive, they had a... Hit me this in the chat. What could that be? Alrighty. These are all good. All of these are working. Any single one of these will do. And what I'll do is I'll take the word reason. And if somebody's going to take action, it means they're going to move, or it means they're going to do something. So all that is meant by the word motivation is quite simply a reason to move. Would it be fair to say that if the reason was big enough, you could get just about anybody to do just about anything? The answer is, of course, yes, if the reason is big enough. But whose reason matters more, yours or theirs? So you knew that one too. I knew I was working with smart people. Their reason to move. The secret to influence is merely to find their reason to move. That is it. It is that easy. It is that hard to find their reason to move. Did you know there are only 3 reasons that anybody would move to do anything? Only 3 reasons? You didn't? Dang, I got to work today. Okay, 3 reasons anybody will move to do anything. The first is to run towards something to make them more comfortable. Life will get better, some form of incentive. The second is to run away from something because it's scaring me, some form of fear. And if it's not to run towards something or to run away from something, it's to do something that lights me up inside. Do something that makes my heart sing. They're the only 3 reasons any of us will move to do anything. So what we've got, the secret to influence is to understand the word motivation. Motivation means their reason to move. If you can unlock their reason to move, you can get just about anybody to do just about anything. And there are only 3 reasons anybody will move to do anything. To run towards a thing, to run away from a thing, or to light them up inside. That's it. Knowing those things are true, how do we put this into practice? Well, we do it with word choices. But before I introduce you to the word choices, I do need to share some more basic psychology with you. Did you know that every decision that every human being has ever made has been made at least twice? Every decision that every human being has ever made has been made at least twice. What do I mean by that? We first make decisions hypothetically, in our mind's eye. Ever said the words to yourself, I cannot see myself doing that? It's a literal thing. If you cannot see yourself doing something, the likelihood of you choosing to do it, slim to none. Therefore, if I can get you to see yourself doing something before I invite you to take said action, chances of you doing it are so much higher. What else do we need to understand about decision making? Is when it comes to decision making, we have a very key point of reference. That key point of reference is our memory. What's interesting about our memory is it's like a gazillion photographs. It's like the world's biggest Instagram account. And when asked to make a decision, we're shuffling this deck of photographs at record speed, looking for an image that can best serve the moment we're being asked to decide upon to help inform said decision. The slightly awkward question is this: how many of your memories actually happened to you? The reason it's a slightly awkward question is because the answer is not all of them. Your memories became memories for one of 2 reasons. It was either A, an experience that you lived through, or B, an experience that was shared with you, typically in the form of a story. Because a story will always sell and a fact will only tell. Why? Because a story creates an image. Often you've crafted those own images. You've put them up here in your mind's eye. You've re-seen them so many times, you're still unsure as did it actually happen or not. Final piece of brain science to understand is there's a point in time in our lives where we learn quicker than any other point in time in our lives. Scientists cannot agree on date range, but they all agree it is when we were children. As kids, we learn quicker than any other period of time in our life. Why? Because of either the experiences that we lived through or the stories that were shared with us. So let's pull all this together and see if I can make some sense of this. So the secret to influence is to find their reason to move. There are only 3 reasons anybody will move to do anything: to run towards something, to run away from something, or to do something that lights them up inside. When it comes to making decisions, we first make decisions hypothetically in our mind's eye. We have to see ourselves doing something before we choose to do it. From there, we understand that our memory is our reference tool to be able to make decisions. And memories became memories from either experiences we lived through or stories that were shared with us. We then learned that our fastest growth when it comes to learning experience was as children. So the question I ask of you, what were the magic words for a child to know a story was coming? Hit me that in the chat. How did a child know a story was coming? Looking in the chat, looking in the chat, looking in the chat. What were the magic words? There we are. Patrick straight off the bat with once upon a time. So you say the words once upon a time to a child. They say, gimme, gimme, gimme. Open up the Instagram account. This is going to be good. You cannot use the words once upon a time in front of a colleague or a prospect and expect the same results. What you can do, though, is you can use the grown-up alternative, which are the words, just imagine. We can now use those words with some intelligence. We can paint pictures in the mind of the other person. What kind of pictures do we paint? We paint pictures of the thing they might want to run towards, pictures of the things they might want to run away from, or pictures of the things that can make their heart sing. This is how we get people to see things from a different perspective, to see things from a different point of view. I mean, just imagine that you fail to make a move on a home in these current market conditions, and the home is not only more expensive in 12 months' time, but is also at an even higher interest rate when it comes to borrowing. Just imagine that was true. I mean, just imagine that what you managed to do is, because there are fewer buyers in this current marketplace, that you actually managed to be able to secure the home of your dreams, something that is really comfortable for you and your family. Just imagine, by being brave enough to make a move in this market, that what you managed to be able to do is to secure your long-term family future and create that level of comfort that you knew was always an ambition of yours from as far back as you can remember. When is the worst time to think about the thing that you're going to say? It's in the very moment you are saying it. Now, I'm making that example up for you guys on the spot. You have enough time ahead of the conversations you're stepping into with others to think about the things that they might want to imagine themselves in. And if you hold enough emotional intelligence about the person that you're looking to be able to communicate with or influence, to know what it is they might want to run towards, what it is they told you they might want to run away from, or what it is that could light them up inside, then there's a strong possibility you can help them see themselves in alternate realities and use those realities to help them make smarter decisions today. Final example is, do people make decisions based on emotion or logic? Emotion or logic? What do you think? It's kind of a trick question. The true answer is, in fact, both. Let's test this for a second. Is, for those of you that are married or have been married in the room, is the day that you asked the question or had the question asked of you, is it because the person you were looking at met your multi-point inspection checklist? Or did it first need to feel right at the time? We make some of the biggest decisions in our life based on what feels right, not on what makes sense. Ever found yourself in a situation like the market that we're in right now, where people aren't taking action? And you're like, I got no idea why they won't do it. It makes so much sense for them to do it. People do not make decisions based on what makes sense, unless you took the time to make it feel right first. Feelings come before logic. So how do we use this again in our real world? You saw a second ago that I could passport people through time in their mind's eye with the words, just imagine. What if I could passport people through time in their heart's eye, getting them to feel something they haven't yet felt? We do this with what's called a future conditional feeling. And an example of a future conditional feeling are merely the words, how would you feel if? I mean, how would you feel if 12 months on from now, the houses you were looking at were even more than what they are right now? And how would you feel if that what you could do is use your strong buying position at this moment in time to actually get yourself into a home that otherwise would have been more competitive if there were more buyers in the market? And how would you feel if that you could actually secure a home that means that you've secured yours and your family's financial future for the long term, meaning that you've always got a comfortable roof over your head? How would you feel if that was true? But what you might be starting to realize that if I say just imagine, just imagine, just imagine, I sound like I'm leading the witness. If I say how would you feel if, how would you feel if, how would you feel if, I sound like I'm leading the witness. But what if I pair these two together? What if I said, hey, just imagine that you waited for the perfect time to better buy a house, and 12 months on from now, there are even greater price points than what they are right now, and it's going to cost you even more money in terms of down payment and monthly payment.